Hollywood stars only want one thing, and it's disgusting.
Ozempic.
Breaking news that's coming in. Ozempic.
But Ozempic and friends were never meant to be for celebrity weight loss. These drugs, known as GLP-1 agonists, were originally designed to treat diabetes all the way back in 2005, and have only recently been used to make cheekbones pop. And the fun doesn't stop there. Researchers are trying to use Ozempic and the gang to treat everything from liver disease to cancer. But how exactly did this class of synthetic peptides become medicine's Swiss Army knife? And more importantly, should we really be using it for so many different things? Today I'll break down how drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro actually work for things like diabetes and obesity, and what clinical researchers think these drugs will tackle next. Ultimately, I want to know, what else can GLP-1 agonists do? What's up, nerds? If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Matty C, PhD that focused in drug delivery. And although I'm far from an Ozempic specialist, it is my job to know how drugs work and how to make drugs work better. If you're not new, welcome back. Let's get back to speaking our love language, science. Before we talk about the science of Ozempic, we have to talk about the haters that made him famous: insulin and glucagon. Insulin and glucagon are the two main hormones that regulate blood sugar. When you have high blood sugar, such as just after a meal, your pancreas releases more insulin. Insulin signals the body to shuttle the sugar out of your blood and into different tissues, so that your tissues have enough energy to work properly. And glucagon does the opposite. When you have low blood sugar, such as going hours without a meal, it signals the liver to break down stored sugar and release it into the blood so that there's enough energy to go around. Insulin and glucagon are opposite ends of the same scale to make sure that your blood sugar is always balanced. And balancing blood sugar is very important. Have you ever felt lightheaded after an intense workout? Your blood sugar's too low. Maybe you felt sluggish or nauseous after having too big of a meal. Blood sugar's too high. These are obviously very minor symptoms, but if you have prolonged periods of blood sugar imbalances, it can lead to very serious outcomes, such as a loss of consciousness, seizures, and life-threatening conditions like ketoacidosis. More on those later, but for now, back to the scales. One of the main forces that tips this scale in your body's favor is something called Glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1. GLP-1 is a receptor, and it can be activated by a GLP-1 agonist. When the agonist binds, an intricate biochemical cascade tells the pancreas to release more insulin and less glucagon. The end result? Your body quickly reduces blood sugar by shuttling it to your tissues that are desperate for some of that sweet, sweet goodness. GLP-1 might be the force that tips the scale, but the GLP-1 agonist is the hand that controls it. And yep, you got it. Our friends Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro are the hands that tip this whole process off. Back in 2005, GLP-1 receptor agonists were approved by the FDA to treat type 2 diabetes, a condition where patients have either inefficient or inactive insulin. The GLP-1 agonists give that extra external boost to reduce blood sugar, which can then prevent those prolonged periods of blood sugar imbalances. But it was in 2014 when GLP-1 agonists got approved to be your favorite celebrity's favorite daily injection for weight loss. And the way it works is fascinating. For example, activating GLP-1 with Ozempic in the brain, specifically the hypothalamus, stimulates various neurons and neurotransmitters that make you think you're full. Ozempic is basically tricking your brain into not wanting to eat more of those deliciously sexy cheeseburgers. At the same time, GLP-1 agonists tell certain cells in your gut to slow the hell down. They reduce the speed at which food moves through your colon. With these cheeseburgers staying in your colon for longer, your body's natural reaction is to be full. Together, GLP-1 agonists in the brain and the gut harmonize perfectly to sing the same message: eat less food, lose more weight. But you're not here to learn about how it works for diabetes and weight loss. That's easy stuff. You're here for the fun stuff. You're here to know what else GLP-1 agonists can do. And this is hot off the press. In August of 2025, Wegovy got an accelerated FDA approval for a certain liver disease called metabolic dysfunction associated steatohepatitis, or MASH. When too much fat builds up in your liver, it leads to excess inflammation and severe scarring. And if it's untreated, it can lead to liver dysfunction or even liver cancer, which is shocking for the 14 million Americans that have the disease. But Wegovy showed incredible results. In an ongoing phase 3 clinical trial, 63% of patients taking Wegovy halted liver scarring. It did not get any worse, while 37% of patients saw significantly reduced scarring. These are a 29 and 15% boost, respectively, compared to the placebo. It's important to note that lifestyle changes were made to all patient groups, so they were still trying to advocate for an overall healthier lifestyle, something that's often put to the side when people use GLP-1 receptor agonists. If you're wondering how all of this works, you'll have to wonder a wee bit longer. Scientists still haven't cracked the code. As perfectly explained in this review, the key question remains whether semaglutide, Wegovy, exerts direct, independent effects in ameliorating MASH, or if its benefits are merely secondary to improvements in weight, insulin resistance, and glycemic control. The exact mechanisms of action through which semaglutide or other GLP-1 receptor agonists offer liver protection aren't entirely clear. They do, of course, suggest different mechanisms of action, such as how binding to GLP-1 helps to metabolize different fats and sugars in different parts of the body, but we'll really have to wait and see once more research is done. So don't forget to subscribe when we cover that in a future video. Speaking of mechanisms that we don't know how they exactly work, but they show incredibly promising clinical results, it's time to talk about cancer. Let me introduce you to this abstract from the 2025 American Society of Clinical Oncology meeting. They looked at 170,000 patients that had either obesity or diabetes, both of which increased the risk of 14 different cancers. Of these 14, they found that GLP-1 receptor agonists significantly decreased colon and rectal cancer by 16 and 28% respectively. 16 and 28%. Now this next part's really important. They compared GLP-1 agonists to a different class of diabetes drugs that don't cause weight loss. And so just like with MASH, we need to ask the question, do GLP-1 agonists directly lower cancer risk, or is it just a byproduct of losing weight? Now this is just one study, so we obviously need to wait to see until there's more convincing data to see how this actually works and if it's actually as promising as we think it is. But it is a step in the right direction. And with cancer being at the top of everyone's treatment hit list, we should be taking as many steps in as many right directions as we can. So what other directions can we take GLP-1 agonists in? What's next for this class of drugs? As of right now, it seems like pharma is hyper-focused into making an oral version of Ozempic. Their thinking is that more people would benefit from the ease of taking a pill rather than taking an injection, which, to be fair, does sound like a pretty good idea. But that's not quite as exciting as what the academics are doing, which is trying to see if GLP-1 agonists can be used to treat eye diseases, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, pretty much any tissue that has a lot of GLP-1 receptors. On one hand, it's really cool that people are trying to take one drug and repurpose it for a number of different diseases. It is way cheaper for a company to repurpose an existing drug than it is for them to try and design and discover a brand new one. Now, as a drug discovery and drug delivery nerd, that absolutely pains me to say, but does mean that patients can receive this treatment for cheaper, and it puts less strain on the healthcare system as a whole. But on the other hand, it's not good to rely on a single drug to do everything. Not only does it cause massive shortages, but it's really unlikely that a single drug can actually be a miracle drug. Every person has a different biochemical makeup, and so how they respond to each treatment will be different from person to person. And it's why personalized medicine is so popular right now. If you want to learn more about the wonders of personalized medicine and how it can work, check out this video about baby KJ, where it was used to treat his very rare genetic disorder. But what do you think? Is it bad to use GLP-1 agonists to do everything and spread it too thin? Am I being dramatic and it's probably not that deep? Is there anything else you would like GLP-1 agonists to do instead? Let me know down below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that YouTube knows to push this video to other dorks who like to learn about the world of pharmaceutical drugs and drug discovery. And we'll see you later, nerds.